Welcome back to a Digital Elysium After Hours. I'm your host, ChoppedStix. Tonight, we'll be discussing a game title known as Poppy's Playtime. This is a really interesting theme in horror because monsters are a big deal in horror throughout generations, but not only just monsters, but dolls. Dolls have been one of the biggest aspects of horror that have frightened little kids for generations. And I'm so glad someone finally did a game and took that aspect and turned it into a version of horror that will even affect adults, mostly gamers who decide who's going to play this. Now, throughout the generation, a lot of people take the whole factor of doll as in, oh, it's just going to be a Chucky, or it's just going to be another Five Nights at Freddy. You know, it's nothing like that. This game gives you and starts out with like a 80s theme of, hey, this is what our factory's about. This is a whole deal. We're making toys for tots, you know, that kind of thing. And then it throws in like, oh, well, this place has been abandoned and closed down for ages. And you're playing a character who decides they're going to sneak in and find out why. Now, there are little hidden videotapes everywhere, and those videotapes will literally tell you and give you information about the factory itself or the toys themselves or the process, because these toys were made by scientists. Yes, I said scientists. Now, that gives you the whole Chucky aspect. Right, because in the early 2000s, in fact, this late year of 2001, they gave us a Chucky movie that completely took a doll factory and turned a doll into a mass murdering, fun play toy. And this play toy literally, had bad programming. That's all it was. Instead of, hey, the original premise, a serial killer soul, which is totally fine. I can get behind that. It's more realistic. It's not occult academy stuff. Now, back to the Poppy's Playtime. What I want to get across is there's a lot of puzzles in this game, and these puzzles don't tell you they're puzzles. You kind of have to figure out what they do and how to get through them, which is okay, but also really annoying, because if there isn't something I hate more than anything in the world is a game that doesn't tell you, hey, this is supposed to be a puzzle, figure it out, genius. So the other thing is everything is set up like a 90s and 80s type deal. So the entire factory is very 90s and 80s-esque. There are several VHSs laying around. And I did say tapes earlier, which, I mean a VHS. Yes, kids, VHS. And an old school CRTV. Yeah, I know, real dinosauric, which is really cool, really great, because that makes me feel back in my old ages of being a young kid. Anyways, they give you some robotic hands, and these robotic hands supposedly allow you to grasp and grapple certain things. It helps you get through some puzzles, and then you meet this big giant blue anorexic Teletubby-like thing with a stupid smile on its face. I mean creepy, not stupid. Well, no, it's both. But to be honest, it's not even Poppy. It's Mr. Huggy Wuggy from 1984. It's supposed to be the whole guardian of the factory. Yes, I said guardian because one of the VHS tapes that you find literally tells you, if you're a trespasser, you're going to be murdered unless you get out, which the doors are locked, so now you got to find another way out. Lovely. And this big giant blue thing that isn't Poppy chases you throughout the entire first chapter. Now, he doesn't strike right at first. No. He does this creepy thing where he goes around and stalks you. Yeah, stalks you, builds up the horror, builds up the scare factor. It is not Five Nights at Freddy's, folks, where they're just going to bring it and then throw it in your face and go, no, 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 no. This guy makes sure that you're walking around everywhere, and then he makes sure that you don't see him. Well, not really, but if you look closely enough, there are some spots that you can see glances of this guy following and staring you down, like that creepy stalker guy at the back of the movie theater while you're trying to just sit there and eat popcorn and watch a good horror flick. But anyways, I'm digressing. So, like I said, there's a lot of puzzles in this game. And the puzzles aren't really that hard, but they don't tell you how to do them. So if you're going to try this out, just be warned that you might have to use your brain a little bit and that you're going to have to figure this out. The voice acting in the game is spot on because a lot of the VHS stuff has complete voice acting, of course, because they're telling you everything and they're reading prompts and, you know, giving you the information you need. But it's not like, oh, it's a translated voice acting. No, it's a full-on, great edited voice acting into the game process that doesn't feel bad at all. I love those aspects. Everything in the entire world of Poppy's Playtime is really well done. It's colorful. Gives you that whole vibe of Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. If you don't know what that is, then you're too young for this video. No, I'm just kidding. Look it up. It's an old school 80s thing. 90s kids also got into it. They brought it back in the early 2000s. You know, ratings and stuff like that on Cartoon Network. But I'm getting off programming again. So they do have that Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse look. The conveyors have eyes, faces, and stuff like that. And the creepy part about it is those eyes, if you watch them carefully, they will stare you down. They will walk you. They will follow you with their eyes. Now, don't ask me if they're going to undress you with their eyes or not, because I don't know. They're conveyor belts. There's a lot of like creepy doll aspects that are all over scattered around the floors. They've got posters that'll tell you, hey, remember to take breaks, kids, because if you don't, you're doing extra work, and we can't have that. You know, that whole corporate America bullcrap. So they've got that. And like I said, they give you these two arms that help you throughout the entire process of getting you to places. You can actually use those arms to get into certain spots that'll break the game. And yeah, it's a little buggy, but it's kind of fun finding those little nicks and tricks, those little minor stuff that wasn't thought of, because, you know, people love playing games just to break them anyways, to get through a lot of things. So... but once you get to a certain spot in the game, Mr. Huggy Wuggy will decide he's going to pop out and chase you everywhere. And I mean everywhere, through an entire conveyor belt system. So yes, this game takes place inside of a conveyor belt system most of the time for Chapter 1. And it is creepy, it is dark, and it is very, very frightening because, honestly, they don't tell you how old the person that you're playing, the character yourself, is. I'm guessing you're a kid, and you're going around finding all this info. Why all the workers disappeared? What happened to the people? Why this place closed down? Because you're a kid who piqued curiosity, and it gives you, well, me at least, this whole more big of a fear factor that I'm this kid who's probably a teenager and breaking all the rules because I'm just that edgy, you know, running through a conveyor belt for my life because I'm being chased by a giant blue anorexic Teletubby who isn't smiling, but he wants to eat me. Yes, he trades in his smile for a mouthful of teeth. And it is actually kind of creepy on some of the jump scare pop-ups that he does, because they come out of nowhere, and holy crap, they are the most frightening thing ever. It actually made me jump, and I hate to admit this, but if there's not something that I hate more than anything, it's dolls in a horror movie or a horror game, and I hate being chased. Chase aspects always get me because it gets your blood pumping and gets you rushed. That's why I cannot compare this to Five Nights at Freddy's. A lot of people would say, hey, this is kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's with a little portal-esque type deal. And I'm just like, no, this is nothing like that whole pizzeria BS jump scare crap. No. This is you running for your life like in Outlast, trying to get away from the scary bad guy, and he's not even the main villain of the story. No. But you have to find these tapes, and these tapes will tell you everything. And honestly, one of the tapes doesn't do you justice, because you think that they all talk about Poppy and how Poppy is this perfect possessed doll that went wrong and all this aspect. And but before you meet her, because you will meet Poppy at the end of the game. Oh yes, you will meet this crazy doll who, when you open her cage and release her, ends chapter 1. And I say chapter 1 because this is a multi-chapter game, boys and girls. Chapter 2 was just released recently, and I'm so happy because man, if there's not a game more than anything that I wanted to see continuously live, it's this one. Definitely, hands down, I will have to say this game. But yeah, and so one of the last tapes you find, and actually I believe it's the last tape actually, is that it talks about Huggy Wuggy and how the scientist who made this, something went wrong in his programming, something bad, and it's because he felt neglected after they made Poppy. Poppy was supposed to be the best of toys, the toy killer for all toys, the only toy that any child would ever want. But that's not the case, because Huggy Wuggy not only is the enforcer to this entire factory, but Mr. Huggy Wuggy is actually a sad doll because he is neglected, and that's why he is hunger for your love, and to fill his belly because he's totally anorexic and he's almost 7 foot tall and he's a giant with a lot of teeth. And he wants to just be friends, I promise. No, not really. So, again, this is all I gotta say on this game, because this game does a lot of good aspects to horror. This game also gives you the horror-esque genre movie feels. It does justice in all the levels, and I recommend this game hardcore to anyone. Even if horror isn't your title and you want to do something for Halloween, please pick this up, try it, because I guarantee this game is going to be around for generations. Just like Poppy and Mr. Huggy Wuggy, they're always going to be there for you. Again, this is me signing off and telling you guys that you should give this a shot. Please give me some info on what you think of how this game plays. Give me some more info on what you think the whole premise about this game is. And, I just want to know generally what you think about this game. Because honestly, it's the more you guys talk about something and want to know more about, or have something you want to, transition and give info to, I will gladly answer back to it, because it's a good title. It really is. And yeah, that's all I got. So everyone have a good night, and hopefully, we will be back with Chapter 2 with Poppy's Playtime, if Mr. Huggy Wuggy doesn't get to us first.